Today, I will be covering the issues with ID verification, why we should not blame social media for mental health issues, and what are the actual solutions. The points I will bring up are data breaches, ethical issues, ineffectiveness, how social media and games are not the root cause of harm, how ID verification can cause mental health issues, how anonymity is not the root cause of harm, and how removing it causes more harm, and what are actual solutions to social media and children. Data breaches. In the UK, due to the Online Safety Act, users are forced to submit IDs to use social media. Discord, being one of those apps, uses a third party verification application for this. A hacker managed to bribe the employee and got a hold of 70,000 IDs, photos, videos, private chats of users, which are largely minors. Who are largely minors. The hacker contacted YouTuber No Touch to Speech and had claimed to made a telegram where he would sell the IDs if Discord did not pay a ransom. Some of these buyers were predators who wanted the IDs of children. Similarly, before the Online Safety Act, the T-App, a dating site for women to help keep women safe, got hacked and leaked thousands of IDs. The ID verification that keeps people safe causes massive privacy issues and endangers the common folk. Now, you may be thinking, but that's just for smaller companies. What about ABRSN, more memberships, Shopee, and big other big companies? Well, for big companies like Google, data breaches where emails and passwords get leaked still occur. At least you can change your password and email if it gets leaked, but not your ID with your face, full name, and address. If somebody wanted to hurt you, they are able to. And at least for ABRSM, more memberships and shopping sites, similar to banking apps, they have higher security and are less targeted compared to social media and video games. As social media and video games largely have user bases of children, which puts them at risk of hackers even more. Now, you may be arguing that since third-party verification is dangerous, a government system would be better. And that's why we get into ethical issues. Now, governments claim that ID verification will help curb groomers and cyberbullies. However, grooming and cyberbullying often happen in private chats. If the government really wanted this law to be effective, they'd have to read every message a child sends. However, this already breaks the UDHR Article 12 and UCRC, which guarantees privacy in correspondence, which includes private chats. Now, we wouldn't allow a random adult to read a child's private DMs, so why would and should it be any different when it's done in the name of the state? Furthermore, we will have practical issues. For example, South Korea's real name law in 2007, which required resident registration numbers, barred foreigners from accessing sites. In countries with singular citizenship, this will prevent foreign traders from working overseas as the ID system may not accept foreign ICs as eligible. Ineffectiveness. As mentioned, South Korea's real name law aimed to curb cyberbullying was proven ineffective as cyberbullying continued to happen and instead there were more privacy risks, causing the law to be removed in 2012. In the UK, although some adult websites like Pornhub saw a decrease in UK viewership, does not mean the behavior has changed, as more people opted to use a VPN, increasing VPN sales to 1,400%, which makes behavior more secretive and harder to rehabilitate. If we were to even if we were to ban VPNs, we would affect banks, hospitals, and tech companies who rely on VPNs. Even without VPNs, kids can just use their parents' IDs, and furthermore, adults tend to have both personal and business accounts, making limiting one ID to one account impossible. Similarly, in the US, YouTube have YouTube force users to submit IDs if they want to access adult content. Still, even with this quote unquote moderation, users flagged under 18 were still shown an inappropriate thumbnail. Now, content warning, like this is going to show an inappropriate thumbnail from a channel named Afro Zulu, which depicts nude, which depicts a thumbnail with full on nudity and thus has been censored. Thank goodness this channel had been deleted. But even so, as shown with these comments, a child who was verified as under 18 could see the thumbnail. And now we come to this point of arguing of how social media and games do not inherently cause harm. One thing I do see is people constantly blaming social media and video games for the decline of mental health and violence, and the fact that they treat it as if ID verification will solve this. In reality, while social media and video games can project harmful content, issues like mental health, relationships, personality, and stress play even bigger factors. Andrew Shabilsky, an Oxford professor who studies technology and youth mental health, has found that the effect sizes of technology and well-being to be very small. Most studies also show that associations between technology and mental health are mostly correlational and not causational. Remember, correlation cannot prove cause, and even so, the correlations were often inconsistent. And regarding violence, the NTAC, which studied 67 school attacks, showed that violence stems from internal issues. And even if attacker used social media and games, because of issues such as family dysfunction, trauma, social rejection, bullying, and other mental health conditions, they use social media problematically. Social media and games are mainly a neutral factor, and only problematic use and abuse due to internal factors are the real issue. As a matter of fact, responsible use of social media are actually beneficial. Even UN agencies like UNESCO, UNICEF, and UNICEF have shown and proved that issues regarding youth are due to social and psychological factors. Now, since we have established that social media and games are a neutral factor and can even be beneficial, ironically, by forcing ID verification, we worsen teens' mental health. With ID verification, we create a space where teens feel watched every second of their lives, which can create chronic anxiety, lessen creativity, decrease peer connection, and a fear of doxing, which worsens mental health. Now you may be thinking, wouldn't this make children go outside more? Well, Many children will find alternatives like apps that are less regulated, VPNs. And and by barring children from accessing social media in general, children will feel rebellious, and it will damage the relationship between children, parents, and even governments. If the WHO have shown had researched and shown that outdoor play is influenced by family routines, local environments, peers, and school policies, and not digital access alone. And and there's no evidence that supports that banning social media would increase outdoor activity, but instead increase boredom and anxiety, as well as a and and as well as ID verification. It can heighten stress and avoidance. How anonymity does not necessarily create the problems on the internet. One thing I see is the claim that because of the internet, incel culture, cancel culture, grooming, bullying, and radicalization has increased. In truth, there have been these are already existing issues that have been amplified. These issues have existed way before the internet. For example, for incel culture, there was such thing as men's rights groups, quote unquote. For cancel culture, there was slander in the newspapers. Grooming occurred in institutions. Bullying occurred in playgrounds, and radicalization of and there were even pamphlets from radicalization showing that social media does not cause these issue. This shows that a lot of the issues we see on the internet are actually long time behavior and societal issues that we need help changing. As a matter of fact, victims and survivors of these types of abuse are less likely to report about these issues out of fear of being tracked down and hunted. Like I said before, because your ID, because if you give out your ID, there is a heightened chance that your data may get leaked, which increase chances of doxing. Now, these are the real solutions to how we can tackle social media harms and games. We should have mandatory digital literacy classes. Since some schools already have mandatory moral studies class and computer science classes, we can probably teach children how to safely navigate the internet by teaching digital ethics, how to report content, and how to deal with unknown contacts. Typically, in countries with high digital literacy, countries with high digital literacy have medium to low cybercrimes and high cyber capability. Number 2, parental engagement. For parents or family members looking after children, we can encourage them to monitor what content children can consume, learn how to use parental controls, and possibly teach them how to set time limits for children. For example, back in the day, we had family TV time. The third solution could be proper content moderation. Since some companies over rely on AI to do content moderation, which AI largely does not understand, it would be better to combine both AI to detect reports and human moderation to check content. And number 4, and most importantly, mental health programs in schools and online that are accessible. In countries with high emphasis on mental health programs or strong culture of mental well-being, the happiness index are usually around medium to high levels, and levels of violent crime are typically medium to low. Thank you.